It's been a really interesting year for us so far. So last year was our best year on record for visitors. And in the last 2 years, we've seen a kind of a 30% increase in visitor numbers, which is kind of huge. We've got 35,000 members now, so grown 50% since 2018. So we've experienced like huge growth over the last 2 years in that kind of post-COVID world. But I think this year is going to be really tricky, a much trickier year for us. Weather continues to be the biggest challenge. We're 15% down on visitor numbers year on year, and this really does depend on the weather. So we had obviously the wettest March in 40 years, poor weather at the Easter school holidays. So it really does make a difference, and it is one of our biggest challenges. Another thing is the rebalance, I think, back to indoor attractions and museums. I think what we've seen, particularly this year, is that people feel more comfortable going back inside again. And we've really seen that kind of rebalance from outdoor attractions, I think, back to indoor attractions, which particularly with the weather. And I think obviously cost of living is kind of playing a part. We've launched new cheaper ranges in our cafes, kids eat free at kind of every half term and so on. But catering spend is down on what has been a record-breaking couple of years for us. But retail spend, interestingly, is not. So people are still kind of treating themselves. I know that we're not alone in this. You know, I was at a Treasure House meeting yesterday, which is kind of a group of the top or the 10 kind of independent houses in the UK. And, you know, pretty much everyone's saying the same thing, that kind of weather is kind of an issue. Three things, particularly at Harewood. Our members, so our membership, as we said, has grown kind of 50% since 2018 to 35,000 people. And I think generally that we've created this kind of brilliant, amazing community, bringing us kind of really reliable, sustainable income, come rain or shine. And I think we've been able to grow that over the last couple of years because of we've been agile, and because we're independent, we've been able to move very quickly with putting in new walks around the estate and creating new experiences all the time. So I think we've had something really for everybody. And I think secondly, growing new audiences through great programming. What really works for us is that we can show our audiences something kind of pretty much new all the time, and different every time they come. So whether it's kind of our art biennial, which the third one will be next year, collaborating with the best up and coming artists and craftspeople, great music and events. You know, music is great for our audiences, great planting in our wall gardens. So there's always something new to see, new flowers, new kind of planting, and you can the vegetables and the fruit and vegetables that are kind of used in the wall garden, you can either buy some to take some home, or it's kind of used in our cafes or used in kind of our retail products in the shop. So we have a cider and so on. So we had great pop-up play, we've had a straw bale maze and so on. And I think for us as well, Christmas has been hugely significant for us. A few years ago, we didn't open at Christmas. We closed October half term and didn't open until March. But a few years ago, we took the decision to open at Christmas, and it's been really important. But we try to be really innovative at Harewood with our Christmas. In 2019, we collaborated with Studio Maguire, which is a Hull-based art practice. They're great digital projection artists. Who've since gone on to work with Dior. So they worked with Dior at Harrods last Christmas. But my favourite installation of theirs, within the house, we have this great set of Serve porcelain figurines, which are probably about 30 centimetres tall. So we had them on our dining room table spotlit, so it was all dark. And each of their individual faces, probably about maybe 10 of them, were kind of animated, and they were singing as part of the choir, but they were arguing between themselves. It was like really comical, but just really, really great and innovative. On one of our other staterooms, you could lie on the floor of this stateroom. So obviously normally you can't even walk on the carpet. We took the carpet out. You could lay on sheepskin rugs, and then the ceiling was animated. The kind of Robert Adams ceiling was animated and really brought to life. So that really kind of set a new bar, I think, for us for Christmas. And it really was kind of what I call like a cool Disney experience, and people still talk about it today. So the issue with us now is, how do we beat that 2019 Christmas? And thirdly, it's about kind of like everybody, I'm sure, about renewing and investing in our infrastructure. So we, we're an independent charity, so it's incredibly difficult for us to spend money on kind of our kind of tired and aging infrastructure. Everything's expensive to do at Harewood, like it will be everywhere else. We've just got a kind of a programme of window works this year, which is going to, just for one facade of the house, is going to cost us well over £600,000. But what we are doing next year, we've managed to secure some funding. We've just appointed a leading garden designer to reimagine a new magical garden for us, which will kind of feature play interventions. And we hope to renew our adventure playground next year and restore one of our buildings into a visitor hub with indoor early years play, which again will really help with that seasonality and kind of make that kind of year-round appeal. So it's a really exciting time for us. Yeah, so for me personally, kind of what I'm really looking forward to is at Harewood. So we've got something really fantastic coming up this autumn. So the global superstar David Harewood is coming to Harewood this autumn. It's really is an astonishing story. He's called David Harewood because his family was enslaved in the 18th century by the family that owned Harewood House. So it was really common in that period for enslaved periods to take enslaved people to take the names of those families who had bought them. It's interesting on so many levels. So what we're doing, so as is the case with kind of most historical art collections, Harewood's portraits really only include white kind of wealthy sitters, and you see that everywhere you go. But we're really shaking that up, and we're commissioning a new series of artworks which we're calling our Missing Portrait series. So we had the first one last year, which is of a man called Arthur Franz, who was really significant within kind of the Leeds community. He set up kind of the first West Indian carnival. We think it predates Notting Hill. So really kind of incredibly important to us. And I'm really pleased to say that David Harewood will be the latest artwork in that kind of series, and we'll be unveiling in September. So it's really moving for us as Harewood. It brings so many of these kind of different strands of history together, and we really find that it's kind of resonating with our visitors.